When you kiss another man's wife, it was to be a peaceful afternoon in the Arizona home of the Brown family. The cameras were to record laughter. Perhaps some Christmas or travel jokes, nothing heavy. But then the producer leaned into his mic and whispered, "Stay rolling. Don't cut. Something's happening." Aurora sat at the other end of the couch, fingers working the silver ring on her finger when she was anxious. Brody, the young man with whom she'd been dating in secret for months, stood uneasily beside her. He wasn't on the show. He'd only appeared because she'd said, "Dad just wants to talk." Then Kody appeared. He didn't smile. His footsteps sounded. The room's temperature changed. All eyes were on him as he moved to the middle and came to a stop, standing directly in front of Brody. Kody, "Son, did you ask me first?" Aurora bricked. The question stung like a slap, dressed in politeness. Robin attempted to dispel the tension with a gentle laugh. "Oh, Kody, come on. Let's not." But he held up his hand a fraction, and she was quiet. "Kody, prior to you beginning to date my daughter, prior to you kissing her, did you seek my permission first?" The word kiss seemed to hang suspended in the air, like thunder waiting to burst. Brody swallowed hard. Aurora begged softly, "Dad, please." The cameras picked up the reflection of her shaking hands. Sound engineer Alex Henderson later testified that he could even hear her heartbeat via the mic, and then Kody uttered the words that would echo all over the internet for weeks. "Kody, when you kiss another man's wife, you're taking something that belongs to someone else, and until she is your wife, she remains mine to guard." The room collapsed into a hush. Robin's mouth opened, but no sound escaped. Brody blinked, wondering if he'd just been threatened or challenged. Aurora's eyes welled up. Outside. The December wind screamed at the window as if it too wanted to get away. Family tensions are a Scientology. They all came together again later that night. But the atmosphere was no warmer. Christine sat with her arms crossed, eyeing Kody like a storm cloud she'd witnessed too often in the past. Janelle paced. Robin clung to Aurora's side, mumbling reassurance that sounded more like regret. In confessionals taped that evening, their sentiments tripped over one another. Christine, he thinks he's protecting them. But what he's really defending is control. Janelle, he's making purity powerful. It's not about faith anymore, it's about fear. Brody, the cowboy, emerged as the face of that fear. A young man who believed he was going to meet a girlfriend's father and wound up facing a tribunal. Kody phoned him up the next morning. "I just want a man-to-man talk." The cameras recorded snippets. Words of boundaries, of respect, of not touching what you haven't earned. Brody nodded along. Respectful but stunned. Aurora, meanwhile, closed her bedroom door and wouldn't film for 2 days. On social media, viewers made guesses in the dark. Was Kody jealous? Was this some sick version of purity culture coming back around? Or was he simply a father afraid to lose the last shred of authority he had left? And this is only the beginning. Aurora's confession in Kody's CONTRL 2 days following the notorious kiss speech. Aurora makes her first return to camera since. Her hair is drawn back, her voice shakes, but she is firm enough to speak. "I didn't want it to become a fight," she says softly. "I just wanted to tell him something about Brody. I figured he'd be happy for me." She pauses, and for a whole minute, you can only hear the distant hum of the light rigs. But it's like, every time I take one step forward, he pulls me back. The producers afterwards stated it was one of the most difficult confessionals they'd ever taped. Aurora wasn't mad, she was spent. Cut to Kody outside, pacing. His hair is loose, eyes furrowed, hands gesturing as though battling invisible debates. "Kody, I'm the father. I'm supposed to protect her. If that boy breaks her heart, I'm the one who has to pick up the pieces." But behind the justification, there's something deeper, a fear not of Brody, but of losing control. Inside, Robin wipes her eyes during her own interview. He thinks he's guarding her purity, she says, but he's really guarding his pride. The family, who were once accustomed to Kody's theatrical tantrums, now sit quietly. Christine texts Janelle from the other side of the room. "He's doing it." Again, Janelle responds immediately. He can't stand not being the center. The control isn't only in Kody's words, it's in the way the family will hold their breath as he walks into a room in a house full of voices. Fear can still sound like love if you say it softly enough. The boyfriend's test cowboy rule. Kody doesn't invite Brody into the living room. He leads him outside to the cold edge of the property, where the porch light bleeds into darkness. The cameras hang back. The boom operator looks to the producer, who nods once. "Keep rolling. Keep your distance." Brody stands there with his hands in the pockets of his jacket, attempting to appear older than he is. Kody does not wait around. Kody measured. "You're the cowboy, huh?" That's what they're saying. You ride in, you tip your hat, You do what you want. Brody swallows hard, his eyes unwavering. Sir, Kody interrupting. No, you listen first. Then you speak. He breathes a cloud that freezes in the darkness and draws closer, not threatening. But unmovable.kody. I have one rule. When you kiss another man's wife, you take what doesn't belong to you. Until she belongs to you, you don't get to pretend. The words fall like steel. Somewhere in the background, the door creaks open. Robin's silhouette halts in the light. Aurora is just a dark shape at her shoulder. Kody. You call yourself a man? Then guard her, even from yourself. He pokes his hand into his pocket and takes out a small folding knife, a plain tool, shiny and bright. He doesn't open it. He simply lets it reflect the porch light. Kody, a true man, keeps his blade in its sheath until the moment it's required. Self-control, restraint. Do you hear me, cowboy? Brody nods, jaw tight. Yes, sir. I hear respect. Kody, respect is not a word. It is a life, a beat. The camera encloses them as figures cut into the night. Father as gatekeeper, boyfriend as challenger, house as fortress. Inside, Aurora says, softly, this isn't a test, it's a trap. Robin puts a hand on her arm and doesn't respond. She's heard this tone before, just not utilized this way. Kody puts the knife away and holds out his hand. Brody shakes it. The grip is steady, too steady, like an agreement no one else signed. Kody. Soft, almost kind. Prove me wrong, cowboy. Prove you're here for her soul, not her skin. The door closes. The house exhales. Somewhere, a clock chimes. And no one feels older than the minute it marks. The house SBI light by morning. The living room is a war zone without raised voices. The battlefield is silence. Coffee cups half finished, a blanket abandoned mid-fold, a puzzle no one touches. In a corner chair, Christine watches the footage on a producer's monitor, headphones on, jaw tight. She doesn't speak until the clip ends. Christine to camera, he calls it protection. But I've seen protection used as a leash. Cut to Janelle in the kitchen, hands flying, attempting to outrun what she's saying. Janelle, I believe in standards. I don't believe in ownership, especially not of your children's choices. The crew murmurs about an edit, about a soft landing, about protecting the kids. But social media doesn't come on a network calendar. A rumor leaks, then a sentence, then a clip. The hashtags erupt. Hashtag KODY kiss rule. Hashtag cowboy Hashtag protect her from yourself. On the porch, Brody waits alone with a paper cup of cold coffee. His phone glows with texts from friends. Dude, what happened? Is this for real? Man, you good. Inside, Aurora stands in front of her mirror. She rehearses a line that she never hoped to deliver. Aurora to mirror. Dad, I'm not another covenant for you to enforce. Robin taps, softly. When Aurora opens the door, her mother's eyes are a hurricane love and regret churning with terror. Robin, he thinks he's keeping you safe. Aurora, he's keeping me small. That evening, a still moment, Brody comes back to wish goodnight. It's a tender moment, the kind that doesn't belong on TV until headlights scour the living room ceiling. And Kody's silhouette appears in the doorway like judgment. Nobody kisses. Nobody breathes. The moment is gone. The cameras record what didn't occur, in some way that is more sonorous than anything that might have in this family. Even almost can be a sin. The line in the sand. Kody convenes a family council. Not a discussion, a court. Everybody assembles. Robin to his right, hands clasped. Janelle at the far couch. Christine standing against the wall, arms crossed. Aurora and Brody at the doorway, half in, half. The producer wants to know if they're ready. Nobody responds. The red camera light responds for them. Kody unfolds. One sheet of paper, the sound somehow amplifying above the room. Kody. These are the rules for courtship in my house. He reads. Calm and formal. No time unchaperoned after sunset. No physical closeness beyond. Hand-holding. No exclusive claims. No talk of possession. A formal engagement. All the big steps are talked over with me. First, the words sound like a set of regulations. For strangers sharing a room, not a daughter in her own home. Aurora's voice trembles, but it does not break. Aurora, whose purity are you guarding? Dad, mine or yours? A ripple runs through the room. Robin winces as if the words slice flesh. Janelle leans forward, at last deciding to enter the fray. Janelle, Kody, standards are a family conversation. They're not a mandate. Christine's turn. Christine, you teach what you exhibit. Recall that. Kody's eyes flash hurt, then steel. Kody, I am not the bad guy. I am the father. Brody's first words, voice calm, respectful. Brody, sir, I'll honor your home. I'll honor your daughter more. A razor-thin line of pride haunts Kody's face. He confuses obedience with commitment. Aurora DOESN. Single quotes T.Aurora. No commitment. Not now. Not in this way. I will not become engaged to gain approval to hold his hand. Silence. The fuse explodes powder. There are times when a family no longer remains a circle but becomes a line. Today, the line was formed. Kody sets the paper on the table as if it were the final card in a losing hand. No one touches it. People just wander off like smoke at the end of the meeting. Aurora's breaking point. Aurora folds deliberately booked in the sweater she had on when she met Brody, then the photos that used to make her safe. She is not fleeing. She is declaring a ceasefire on new terrain. Into her phone, a voice memo. Aurora soft, I love my father. I'm not rejecting my family. I'm rejecting fear. She doesn't press post. She saves it for herself, for later, for a version of the story that doesn't require anyone else's approval. Downstairs, Robin waits at the bottom of the stairs. She doesn't forbid. She doesn't bless. She just opens the door and kisses her daughter's forehead. Robin whisper, text me when you arrive. Brody sits in the driveway, engine running, eyes questioning something he's too prudent to say. Aurora inclines her head. They drive past the porch where the test had been administered. Past the street where nearly didn't happen at all. Towards the sole open public space at this hour, a diner with weary neon and coffee that has no end. They sit in a corner booth. No cameras, no microphones, just two people with a simple tale, thrown into chaos by a man who can't see the difference between love and law. Brody, I'll walk as slow as you need. Aurora, I don't want slow. I want free. Brody smiles. Then we choose free. Together, back at the house, Kody stands at the window where fathers in movies always learn something. Off-screen, in a chair, he is just a man, shoulders slumped, hands empty. Eyes on a driveway that has stopped bringing him what he wants. Kody to no one. I'm doing the right thing. The words hang there, exposed. Even he can hear the question mark, he refuses to say. Cut to Christine's kitchen, warm light, dishwater, and a sort of solid peace. She makes a confessional that doesn't sound like TV. Christine, you don't keep your children safe by making them small. You keep them safe by teaching them how to stand tall. Janelle speaks in laughter without humor. Janelle, if your rule requires them to disappear, to obey you, it isn't a rule. It's a cage. The editor would later remark that this was the episode he didn't want to make them cut. Every second counted. Every gasp was integral to the argument. In some houses, love is a whisper. In this one, love will have to learn to shout. The aftershock across the FAM Melwetha house appears the same, but it sounds different. Every corridor bears an echo now. Chairs squeak louder. Footsteps linger longer. Conversations fade quicker. Aurora's room remains half full, the air still carrying the faint scent of her shampoo. Robin moves past the doorway and freezes. She doesn't go in. She simply stands there, one hand on the doorframe, the other against her heart. Robin whisper, it's too quiet. Below, Janelle and Christine drink coffee at opposite corners of the counter like uneasy partners. The same subject circles around them repeatedly. How far is too far before protection turns into possession for a father? Janelle shall call. Once she settles, Christine, if he lets her. Cut to Kody in the yard, staring at the ground as if he can dig up an answer there. His voice over, captured later. Kody, they think I'm mad. I'm not. I'm disillusioned. I built this house to hold us together. Now every wall is a goodbye. He tosses a chunk of firewood on top of the pile to forcefully. It shatters. Robin stands on the porch, arms crossed. She longs to go to him, but recalls what occurred the last time. She attempted to repair his tempests. The producer's voice off camera. Kody, are you sorry for what you said? He stares directly into the camera. Kody, you don't regret truth. Cut to social media posts flickering on screen, reaction videos, tweets, headlines. Kody's kiss rule sparks outrage. Fans call scene creepy, controlling. Clips loop endlessly his words cut from context. Replayed, remixed, picked apart. The family is reduced to an algorithm. Robin scrolls, shoulders convulsing. Robin, they don't see the man I see. They just see the quote. Christine responds off camera, steady and quick. Sometimes the quote is the man. The force of the line strikes like lightning in the cutting room. The screen goes black on her face. The public storming a matter of days. Everyone has something to say. Talk shows refer to it as the kiss controversy. Commentators weigh faith, family, feminism. Hashtags rise once more. One reporter wants to know if this is the moment the Sister Wives legacy ends. Meanwhile, Aurora and Brody hide from it all. A rented apartment, secondhand couch, phones on silent. For a while, it feels like peace. Then producers start calling. We'd love to hear your side. Aurora says no. Then no again. Brody breaks the quiet. Brody, you could tell your truth before they tell theirs. Aurora, my truth isn't a headline. Cut to Kody sitting in front of the TV, viewing a news clip where an analyst labels his speech a patriarchal meltdown. His jaw then suddenly he laughs. Kody. They've never raised a daughter in this house. They don't know what it takes. Robin edges closer. Robin, maybe they just know what it looks like. For a moment, even he can't respond. Christine gets another confessional. This one more subdued. Christine, he taught us to stand for what we believe. He just never thought we'd stand against him. Power, control, and Areto. If this is the scene the editors will title The Reckoning, Aurora has consented to go home, not to remain, but to converse. Brody stays in the vehicle. Kody begins with a sigh rather than a speech. Kody, I wanted to protect you. Aurora, you wanted to own me. Silence. Robin winces, but doesn't interrupt. Aurora, you instructed me not to kiss a man who isn't my husband, but you neglected to instruct me on how to love someone who isn't intimidated by you. He blinks. The cameras remain ruthlessly still. Janelle clasps her hands together. Janelle, perhaps the rule was never the issue. Perhaps it's who had benefited. Christine nods. Christine, control is sacred until it costs you, your family. Kody's voice cracks for the first time. Kody. You think I needed this? You think I like to be the bad guy? Aurora responds softly. Aurora, no, I think you forgot how to be the dad. She stands up. Robin stands halfway up, then catches herself. Aurora puts a hand on her mother's arm without asking and disappears out to the waiting car. The headlights disappear. The room waits. Families shatter in whispers, not in explosions. One rule, one kiss, one sentence uttered too loudly can reverberate for an eternity. Christine's, you can't unlearn fear in one night, but you can begin to teach freedom today. Janelle's sometimes loving well means letting it walk out the door. Cut to Kody sitting by himself on the porch. Dawnlight pours over his face. For the first time, he appears less patriarchal and more like a man attempting to grasp the distinction between faith and control. Kody, whisper, she's my daughter. She'll come back. Perhaps she will. But when she does, she'll return as her own woman. Like the video if you sensed the tension. Comment, was Kody controlling or protecting? Subscribe for the next in-depth dive into the world behind TLC Sister Wives.